Steel City. Is everybody ready to go? Let's proclaim the greatest radio show.
Well, I can't say I'm that surprised, Spread fans. I'm your host, Jim Cella. I'm in studio with JDash. You're listening to a sad episode of The Spread today.
Very sad.
Pathetic episode. Not the episode. The effort by the Steelers.
I don't know. This episode may be pretty pathetic, too, by the end of it.
Could be. Depends on if we talk about Pittsburgh the whole time.
What was the final score, 20-13?
20-13.
The exact score I predicted the game to turn out to be.
Maybe if it was opposite day.
Well, I just said the same score. I didn't say which team. Yes, I picked the Steelers to win, but I said it would be 20-13. And our favorite pick in this game was the under, and that was an easy pick.
Please believe. The Steelers, I didn't think they were going to get a touchdown. I thought your prediction of Ben having 12 through 3 games was going to come true.
It almost did come true, but let me tell you, there was a lot of Steelers fans at this game. It was almost 50-50, I bet.
Yeah, they wasted a lot of their time driving all the way out there.
It's nice to see the fans excited, though.
Please believe. I love it. If I had money and time, I'd go out there.
But going into this game, the Steelers won the coin toss and deferred. They kicked off.
That was the only thing they won the whole time.
The Jets, right away, they put together a 14-play, 72-yard drive. Chris Ivory looked strong to begin the game. Michael Vick was hitting his passes. They were gaining big chunks of yards. But the Steelers didn't break, and they only let up 3 points there.
Now, when you say Chris Ivory looked strong, was he like bench pressing his O-lineman, or was he running hard? Because I missed the first half of the game. I was at work.
He was running hard.
Okay, I didn't know if maybe he like went into a dance after a nice run, and like the dance was he did push-ups with his O-lineman on his back.
No.
You never know in the NFL nowadays.
They do have a solid O-line, though.
They had a good O-line. DeBrickashaw Ferguson, Nick Mangold, both all-pro players, both first-round picks. I wish our 2 first-round picks on the O-line dominated that hard.
Our offensive line didn't play too terrible today.
36 yards rushing.
Yeah, understandable, but
Blunt had 0 yards rushing on 5 carries.
5 carries, and Bell had, 11 carries? So
36.
they only ran the ball
16 times. I think they gave Ben a run one time, but, that doesn't count.
Well, they fell behind early, so they had to abandon the run.
See, I get that, but they fell behind so early that I don't agree with abandoning the run. You're down 17 in the first quarter, right? Yeah.
17 in the first quarter.
They scored 6 touchdowns each of the last 2 games. So
and how'd they do that, though?
Yeah, but they also ran the ball effectively in 2 of the 3 of those games.
It wasn't effective this
Play
week.
action.
2.1 on the ground between him and Blunt. They had to do something. Ben only had 54 yards passing in the first half.
Yeah, what did he end up with? 343?
Yeah, so that all came in the second half.
Craziness.
But the scoring in the first quarter, really, it was because of turnovers. Listen,
Turnovers were a huge part of this game.
Brown fumbled at the 20, and then the Jets scored on a couple plays, 5 plays after that to score their second touchdown. So that made it 17-0, and then the Steelers drove the whole way down the field, and Ben threw a pick at the goal line. So there's a 14-point swing right there.
It was all turnovers. If you really look at the stat line, the Steelers, they won a lot of places. Big Ben had 343 yards passing. Vic had 132. Ivory actually only had 51 yards rushing. Vic had 39. Johnson had 23.
After that first drive of Ivory looking like he was going to dominate this game, he really put nothing together. The defense played okay today, really. 20 points, I mean, when you let up 20 points, you should win a football game. And really, I put 7 of those points on the offense because Brown fumbled at the 20-yard line and made it easy for Vic in the offense.
The Steelers outgained the Jets. Time of possession was basically even, 29-27 for Pittsburgh, 30-33 for New York. We actually had less penalties for less yards.
Way less. We had 3 for 20, and the Jets had 9 for 75. Now, I know a couple of those penalties were on one play. It was like 3rd and 45 on that one drive, if you remember.
Yeah.
Rex Ryan had the penalty along with...
We all know what he was saying, too.
But really, it was 17-0. There was nothing going on in the second quarter for either team. And then the Steelers got some momentum when Swisham hit a career-long 53-yard field goal to end the half and make it 17-3, and I actually had hope the Steelers could come back from that coming into the third quarter.
Yeah, but the beginning of the second half for Pittsburgh started off much the same way the beginning of the first half. Their first possession of the third quarter, interception.
Yeah, Ben threw an interception. It was a bad pass by Ben. I don't know what he was doing. He threw the ball into triple coverage, and it was a high pass. That was just a mistake on Ben's part.
That's the one Wheaton didn't really jump for, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I was arguing with a friend because I just seen a highlight of that one. I was out of the room. I know Wheaton is not Martavis Bryant in 6'4", but he didn't even jump at all. He could have at least tried a little, but it was still a horrible throw by Ben, a horrible read by Ben. Him and Wheaton didn't seem to be on the same page at all today.
Then another problem is after Sweesham's 53-yard field goal, career long, he has the shortest miss of the season
in the NFL, yeah.
What was it, 23 yards
22,
or something?
22, I think.
22 yards. I mean, that's just, you can't have that.
I mean, listen to this real quick. Their game goes like this. Punt, fumble, pick, field goal, pick, punt, miss field goal. And then they do get a field goal, turnover on downs, touchdown. How does an offense that threw 6 touchdown passes 2 weeks in a row have that kind of stat line as far as the drives go?
Well, early in the game, like we said, they had to keep more than just Bell and Brown involved.
Right.
And they didn't.
Heath didn't even have a catch till after the first half.
Listen, on the final drive of the first half when they put that field goal together, Lance Moore had a catch. But besides that, Blunt had 2 carries, and Will Johnson,
our fullback,
he had a catch for -5 yards. Besides that, Bell and Brown were the only 2 players in the first half to touch the ball. And
Makes no
you
sense.
cannot win. Yes, they are the 2 best weapons on the team, but you cannot win by just using those 2 weapons.
Well, right. When you only focus on those 2 players, then the defense only focuses on those 2 players, and they take them out of the game. When you allow Miller and Martavis and Lance Moore and Blunt, when you allow these other guys to get involved, then the defense also has to focus on them. And obviously, Bell and Brown have more room to display their talent, and they get more one-on-one matchups, and they get more big plays.
Yes, Bryant needed to be involved earlier in the game. It happened later in the game. He did score the touchdown. It was an 80-yard touchdown, but it was in garbage time, really. I mean, if they would have got the onside, we had a little bit of a game going, but it didn't happen. And what were they doing? Why wasn't Wheaton involved early? He wasn't even in the game. They had Darius Hayward-Bay in the game to start the game. Are you kidding me?
We threw a pass to James Harrison, and we weren't getting Wheaton involved in the game.
Now you see why we want to get rid of Todd Haley. Did he seriously go up to Mike Tomlin and say, you know what, I need James Harrison this week. I need to throw past him in the end zone, and I need him to run a couple plays at fullback. Are you kidding me?
Ridiculous. I hate gimmicks like that. That's not what Pittsburgh's about. Put your fullback in there. Put LeGarrette Blount in there. Put your biggest lineman out there. You put a lineman in at tight end. Teams do that all the time on the goal line. You don't put your linebacker in at fullback.
Another problem I have with it is Harrison wasn't playing linebacker early that much. They were saying maybe since he hurt his knee last week, he wasn't 100% healthy, so he couldn't be in there as much. But yet you got him in at fullback. What?
Yeah, stupid. I mean, was Will Johnson hurt maybe? I don't know. They didn't really say. But
who cares? Put someone else in.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody else. It's just stupid. If anything, you would think put Bell and Blunt back there so they don't know who's going to get the ball and try
can play
that.
Fullback for sure.
You know, I mean, come on. It was poor play calling. Antonio Brown had 8 catches. He only had 74 yards. We've both said time and again, Ben is at his best when he's throwing the ball downfield more often. I know there was a pass rush on him. They only got 2 sacks on us. We had 4 on them. We beat them in pretty much every stat that means anything.
That's why I said our line didn't play too bad. We had 16 carries, and we didn't get it. 17 carries, excuse me. Ben had 1.
Yeah.
And we didn't get it done on the ground, but they played well in the passing game. Ben had time. He was making bad decisions here and there. He didn't have the worst game. He did throw the 2 picks, but 290 yards in the second half. He was playing well in the second half.
So, I mean, pretty much then you got to say that turnovers were the biggest reason. Well, I'm going to give it 50-50. Turnovers and 0 for 3 in touchdowns in the red zone are the two reasons why we lost this game. If we get points out of if we got 1 touchdown out of any of the 4 times we turn the ball over, this game's tied, and we're going into overtime maybe. So the Steelers shot themselves in the foot with the turnovers, and then they didn't produce when they needed to in the red zone.
Anytime you have 4 turnovers against 0 for the other team, you're going to lose that game.
Especially on the road.
Yeah, especially the way the Steelers are playing on the road. Ben has, 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions on the road this season now.
Yeah. Now look at this. We talked about the amount of points they scored in some of these away games. They scored 37 at Carolina. Is that what it was?
37 at Carolina, yes.
And now they have a combined 46 in the other 4 road games. 46 points.
46 points, yes,
in
correct.
4 road games. That's pathetic.
That's less than 12 points a game. You're not going to win on the road.
You're not going to win any games. You're not going to win at home if you're doing that. This isn't 1950s football. It's 30 points or bust, baby. Let's go.
Steeler fans, if you want your Pittsburgh Steelers to go deep in the playoffs, you better hope it's home games.
You need to start tweeting Todd Haley and telling him to throw the ball down the field when we're away games and score some points. Do something. This is just getting to be a bad trend, and it's going to cost us if we do make the playoffs. That's still an if. It looked a lot more promising before this game. We got the dreaded Tennessee Titans. How many games have they won? If you're not 500, I'm scared to play them.
The one thing I do like is the Steelers have not lost back-to-back games this season, and they haven't lost back-to-back road games, obviously. So I'm hoping there's a chance they come out, put things together a little bit, and squeak one out against Tennessee. But really, the final stats, look at Bryant. 4 for 143 and a touchdown.
Not bad.
It's not
80-yard catch is a little skewed there, but
yeah, it skews the stats, but he has another touchdown, so that's 6 touchdowns in 4 games now.
Yeah.
So I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. They need to start using him earlier in the game along with the other receivers. Brown, he kept his streak alive. That is 26 straight games now. Brown has 5 catches for 50-plus yards, and it's starting to get a little bit unbelievable.
Well, bleep Brown's streak. I'm more impressed with Martavis Bryant's touchdowns in all these games. Everybody loves Brown's streak. All right, he kept it alive. We'll give it to that. The team loves him, I guess. I did hear a report the other day that said, that he's really, really hard worker. He's always first in or last out of the facilities. So, I mean, I guess if it really means that much to him, but I'm not too interested in it.
On the defensive side, I think the Steelers played a pretty good game. They ended up with 4 sacks.
Yeah, 4 sacks.
4 sacks. Worlds had 1.5, so he looked all right.
He could have blew Vic up on that play, but he smartly wrapped him up and tackled him to avoid getting an unnecessary roughness or helmet-to-helmet penalty or whatever, because Vic didn't even know he was coming. He could have destroyed him.
Lawrence Timmons ended with 13 tackles, so he's been one of our most consistent pieces this entire season. Even though he doesn't make the splash plays, he's one of the guys that make this defense bend and not break. And really, outside of this 67-yard touchdown pass to T.J. Graham, it was his 2nd catch of the season, the Steelers' defense did everything they needed to do to win this game.
Tackling fuel.
Although they didn't get the turnovers, they had a chance there at the end zone, and Vic didn't pick it off. Quit saying tackling fuel.
Willie Gay had a chance to help us try to win that game. He had a terrible...
But really, they held him to 3 points in the second half.
Right, I get it.
The offense got to do something.
We both said the offense has to score 30 points a game to win this year. They didn't hold up their end of the bargain, man.
Listen, my keys to victory were you got to run the ball and score touchdowns on the ground in the red zone. Did it happen? No. I said you got to keep multiple receivers involved early. Did that happen?
No.
And I said the Steelers have to take another leap and put together a good offensive game on the road. Did that happen?
No.
So what's it going to be, Steelers? Are you going to put it together next week? Or are you just going to keep this up all season, night and day? Just you never know what you're going to get from them.
Is it a Sunday night game next week?
If it is, that's a terrible Sunday night game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's listed Sunday night, 8:30.
I didn't even know that. Why in God's name? I love it because I'm going to get to see the whole game. But why would you put the Steelers and Titans on a primetime game on a Sunday night? The Titans are awful. They're 2-7. They're 1-3 at home. They switched from Charlie Whitehurst to Zach Mettenberger.
Who played okay this week.
Yeah, he's
Last
average.
week he looked better. He had 299 yards and a couple touchdowns. So you don't know what you're going to get from him yet, but Dick LeBeau against rookie quarterbacks.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. The Steelers average over 10 points more than the Titans do on offense. They give up less points on defense.
I'd like to see the home road splits, though, because I bet you it's a lot different for Pittsburgh.
Yeah, our home record is 4-1. Our road record's 2-3. We're 2-2 in the division, 5-3 in the conference. So that's not a nail in the coffin as far as tiebreakers go. So if we can still squeak out 11-5 or 10-6, we got a shot at the division record.
Well, listen,
big thing.
division. Go ahead.
The big thing that scares me is look at how many victories Tennessee has. That's a scary number. Two.
Oh,
Two.
I don't know. That might be one too many.
Yeah. I don't know. We have to
listen.
We
The
have to
Steelers
perform.
division is wide open. Nothing is set in stone.
One game
Don't get
separates first and second place.
They did enough over the past 3 weeks where we don't have to get too down on them right now. Yes, they lost a terrible game to a terrible team coming off an 8-game losing streak. Really, yeah, you have to win this game, but it's not all lost right now. The division's wide open. They're tied with Baltimore with their record. They're a half game behind Cleveland. Cincinnati looks like garbage right now.
Oh, they're terrible.
So it's wide open.
A minute ago, I said one game separates first and second place. Well, yeah, that happens a lot. That's not very surprising. One game separates first and last place in our division. Excuse me.
That sounds right.
So, yeah, you got Cleveland at sole possession of first place.
Teams are jumping from last to
Cincy.
first weekly in this
Right.
division.
And we're above Baltimore because I think we have a better conference or division record, one of the two, because they are in last.
Really, all 4 of these teams, you can say there's nothing great about them. I mean, yeah, they show their good moments, but it's just a mediocre division, really.
Cleveland has a good defense. Cincy has nothing good the last couple weeks. The Steelers have Big Ben. And what's Baltimore have? The Unibrow?
Yeah, Justin
Criminals?
Forsett, Steve Smith.
Bunch of criminals. So they are.
Nah, Steve Smith is no criminal.
Studio gangsters. Well, unfortunately, fans, we didn't have too much good news for you this week. The Steelers, they looked lackluster. They didn't really even look like they had it in them. It was kind of a pathetic game. I only seen the second half. You've seen it all, Dash.
I'm worried because we are gonna have to beat a team like Denver on the road in the playoffs if they get there, and that's just, I don't know. It's too much to ask.
Well, we got 3 more games on the road. We can't afford to lose 3 more games.
No.
We're not going to win the division at 9-7, so we need to figure out something.
Like I said, they haven't lost back-to-back games this season. They have won a couple road games. I think next week's the week you got to get that road game, and then from there on out, you got to win at home.
Well, I hope that holds true. If you guys want to hear what we think about the Tennessee Steelers game, tune in the middle of the week sometime around Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll have our Steelers preview posted. You can follow us on Twitter at bet_the_spread. Check out our Facebook page. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Don't be looking Wednesday, probably, because you're going to see Watsky.
Oh, that's right. I am going to see Watsky.
So, no preview this week, folks. Jim's got other crap on his mind.
Well, we can do the preview early in the day.
We'll do the preview in 15 minutes.
Please believe. Well, I'll do it live from Stage AE. I'll get Watsky as a special guest. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Peace.
Do work.